Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, May 9th, 2025. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Spiritual Baptist communities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is expressing gratitude and pride as the nation prepares to observe the inaugural public holiday in their honor on May 21st. The declaration of the holiday marks a significant milestone for the community, recognizing their faith, cultural identity, and historical struggles. Committee member May Saunders reflected on the challenges faced by spiritual Baptists in the past, recalling the hardships endured by her father during her childhood.
This holiday ain't no just start holiday. This holiday start a long time. I was a child and I signed my name on the leaf of paper that was coming around for we to get recognition. Tears come to me eye this morning because although I was a child reading there, I didn't know I would join the Nyamdong religion, because that's what they used to call it. And many times they call them the barefoot Christian, the Shakers. And when you go by the roadside to keep meeting, they get stoned because you're coming for tell them something going to happen.
And Saunders highlighted the resilience and unity of the Spiritual Baptist community, noting that the upcoming holiday is more than just a day off. It is a powerful symbol of progress and national recognition.
I give God the praise and the thanks to know that Spiritual Baptists could worship in peace, in unity, and in love. The greatest thing is love. And I figure we all have love. I don't matter who said this, who said that, because my scripture tell me, I and my heart shall praise my God. Men look at the outward appearance, God judge the heart. And I ask them all who tie their head today, support the National Spiritual Baptist Committee, because they are one in God, one Trinity, one hope, one faith, one love. We ain't had no division. If any little thing come across, we're going to send to the Archbishop.
Leading up to the national observance, a week of cultural and religious activities will take place from April 18 to the 25th. Well, May 18 to the 25th, including press services, educational forums, and community outreach initiatives. These events aim to educate the wider public about the significance of the Spiritual Baptist faith and its contribution to Vincentian society. St. Vincent and the Grenadines becomes only the second country in the world to formally recognize the Spiritual Baptist community with a public holiday. Trinidad and Tobago, which has long acknowledged the community's struggles and cultural value, was the first to establish a Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day on March 30th. The Cecil Cyrus Caribbean Museum of Medical History, the CCMMH, was officially launched last evening at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus in Barbados. The museum, housed in the E.R. Waldron Clinical Skills Building, aims to serve as a regional hub for the preservation and celebration of Caribbean contributions to medicine and healthcare. During the ceremony, it was highlighted that in August 2024, the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the Cave Hill campus successfully relocated the Sir Cecil Cyrus anatomical specimen collection from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Barbados. The collection, amassed by the late Vincentian surgeon and medical pioneer Sir Cecil Cyrus, includes preserved anatomical specimens, a rare assortment of surgical instruments, and a personal library of medical literature. These artifacts form the foundation of the new museum. In his welcoming remarks, Dr. Damien Cohall, Dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the UWI Cave Hill campus, emphasized that the museum is not only an effort to document the medical history of the Caribbean, but also a tribute to a towering figure in Caribbean medicine.
We know Sir Cecil not only through the tales by a generation before now, but now immortalized physically in this medical history museum. The opening exhibition, the A Cecil Cyrus collection is a Caribbean story of brilliance, innovation, ingenuity by A. Cecil Cyrus, a surgeon, an ophthalmologist, an obstetrician, and equally as important, a husband, father, grandfather. I like to call him, based on what I've observed, a jack of all trades, but master of all, as he explored his passion with deliberate intention. So colleagues, throughout this launch and exhibition, what you will gather is that the Faculty of Medical Sciences made its best effort to showcase Sir Cecil and his legacy, to inform the wider Latin American and Caribbean audience of his life and the resource of the new museum, to reflect on the contribution of the gift of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the wider Latin America and Caribbean region, and finally, to reflect on the role of Barbados as a guardian of this unique aspect of Caribbean heritage for the benefit, inspiration of future generations to come.
Dr. Kohal expressed gratitude to the Cyrus family and the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their support and permission to house the museum in Barbados.
It is intended to be a self-sustaining educational resource for students, researchers, and the public at large, and will significantly contribute to the advancement of knowledge regionally and globally. The museum will have a unique exhibition dedicated to our icon, but eventually, through the inspiration of Sir Cecil, it will be expanded gradually to create spaces for permanent and rotating exhibitions rooted with the Caribbean's medical history. And this is a first for the Caribbean. It will be a research library and archive. It will facilitate educational facilities for lectures, workshops, interactive learning incorporated into existing medical skills training, which we currently have embedded within the Errol Walrol building in the Clinical Skills Complex. We anticipate, as Master of Ceremony mentioned, that we will have to engage the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha and probably the next generations to come after those, AI possibly. So virtual reality and digitization will be a very important feature of this museum going forward as we explore the area of immersive learning. And last but not least, it will remain the central storage and conservation facilities for curated medical artifacts.
According to Dr. Kohal, the journey to establish the museum has spanned over 2 decades. He noted that although the process was long, now is the ideal time to bring the vision to life, especially in a climate that is increasingly valuing regional heritage and medical innovation.
The Faculty of Medical Sciences successfully relocated the anatomical and other artifacts collection from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to this building in August of 2024. And this was only after the receipt of the deed of gift by the Cyrus family and also the permission of the Prime Minister. It is important to note that this relocation wouldn't have been possible without the support of benefactors who we have among us. So I take this time to acknowledge the important contribution of the Most Honorable Richard Edgell for his kind contribution towards facilitating the transport of 700 catalog specimens from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Barbados. The specimen collection, along with other objects such as medical books, surgical instruments, will serve as a foundation for the Medical Museum, which celebrates and preserves the narrative of the development of Caribbean health and medicine as seen through the lens of the Caribbean people, and that is important. With this museum, we now have our opportunity as Caribbean people to write our medical history.
Representing the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the event was Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Jimmy Prince. Minister Prince said that the government of SVG was honored to participate in what they described as a historic and meaningful transfer of a vital educational and cultural resource by Vincentian icon.
This collection that we are transferring today, that we have transferred already, is emblematic of only a small part of the more than 6 decades of medical service to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Caribbean. So Cecil himself described his sojourn as a medical doctor as an odyssey that went beyond medicine. He returned to his homeland after studies in 1964 and began his service as a surgeon at the then colonial hospital in Kingstown. It was a time of colonial neglect and, of course, typical colonial indifference. Estate life was still the order of the day, along with the attendant poverty levels that impacted the quality and accessibility of medical care. At that time, although the peasantry was emerging, the society was not sufficiently humanized. Medicine suffered as a result. And Dr. Cyrus was one of the few people who took note and did something about it. There were no specialties to talk about, and the general medical practice was rudimentary at best. And you can imagine what happened in a small country like ours 60 years ago. Dr. Cyrus made it his business to begin to transform and ultimately revolutionize health services delivery in the public system, while at the same time strengthening a mission to educate the population regarding matters of health and wellness. We in St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the moment are undergoing a second phase of this medical revolution. Dr. Cyrus's career was the platform for that.
The CCMMH is expected to serve not only as a museum, but as an educational space for students, researchers, and the public to engage with the region's rich medical history. The collection will support medical training while preserving the memory and influence of Sir Cecil Cyrus, whose work in surgery and public health transformed medical practice here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider Eastern Caribbean. Acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel has expressed serious concern about the high number of homes across St. Vincent and the Grenadines that are still operating with expired temporary electrical connections. Speaking on the radio on Wednesday, Minister Daniel highlighted the work of the Electrical Inspectorate Unit within VINLEC and described the issue as a worrying development that must be addressed urgently.
That a report came to me as the minister where here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that at the unit where applications are made, both for temporary and permanent establishments of connections for electricity, a report came to me that there are well over 5,000 temporary connections that are expired.
The acting Prime Minister emphasized the importance of electrical safety and encouraged homeowners to ensure their connections are up to date.
It is of simple reasoning that there is a temporary connection and there's a permanent connection to our electricity services. Temporary, as in the nature of the word, means for a short period of time. And what is required for a temporary connection is not the same for a permanent connection. And so it is important that homeowners do the necessary corrections to prevent the hazards that may occur from time to time. In other words, it is important to protect yourselves from hazards that may occur given the resource to be used in your own home.
Daniel also commended the work of the Electrical Inspectorate Unit, praising their dedication to inspecting homes, particularly in the aftermath of natural disasters such as La Soufrière volcanic eruption and Hurricane Beryl. As part of its public outreach this month, VINLEC has planned a series of activities aimed at raising awareness of electrical safety and showcasing the important work of its departments, including the Electrical Inspectorate Unit. In other local news now, we hear that as urban development continues to expand across Kingston and its surrounding areas, the availability of land is becoming increasingly limited, resulting in a noticeably reduction in green spaces. In response to this trend, Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, Carlos James, is calling on the public to take greater initiative in creating and preserving green areas. Minister James made the appeal during the media launch of the Botanical Gardens 260th anniversary celebrations held yesterday. He highlighted the significance of the Botanical Gardens as a long-standing example of a well-maintained green space, but emphasized that more such spaces are urgently needed.
It's impacting not just lives and livelihoods, it also has a significant impact on our economies. Farmers would have that challenge producing less because of droughts, heat waves, shortage of water. Fisher folk will see reduced catches at sea because of the threat to marine life. Global warming, heat temperatures on our seawater beds, marine life that is affected, coral bleaching, all of these things are important conversations that we must continue to have, and even more in a profound way in our schools, in our communities, in our government departments. Because even within our government departments, I would acknowledge that we have to, of course, build in our policy framework more measures as it relates to environmental sustainability and utilizing renewables in a deeper and a larger way.
James further explained that green spaces contribute significantly to sustainability and conservation efforts, while also providing practical benefits to urban life. He said they help to regulate temperatures, especially in urban settings like Kingston, and that green spaces play a vital role in cooling the environment and improving the overall quality of life.
Green spaces and, in fact, promoting and improving our plant species and ensuring that we have the right variety of and types of plants that are providing that important aspect of photosynthesis and ensuring that we're able to cool our spaces. Kingston, as we know it, is a concrete jungle. You go to other areas across the country, and which is our zeal for development. We build a lot of big houses and large buildings. And we have to ensure that we continue to contribute to our biodiversity, conservation, preservation, and expanding. Because our wildlife and our ecosystem is dependent on how we control these spaces that are around us.
The minister also noted that the continued impacts of climate change, particularly global warming, are affecting lives and livelihoods across the region. In this context, green spaces serve an essential role in climate resilience and environmental health.
It's impacting not just lives and livelihoods, it also has a significant impact on our economies. Farmers would have that challenge of producing less because of droughts, heat waves, shortage of water. Fisher folk will see reduced catches at sea because of the threat to marine life. Global warming, heat temperatures on our seawater beds, marine life that is affected, coral bleaching, all of these things are important conversations that we must continue to have, and even more in a profound way, in our schools, in our communities, in our government departments. Because even within our government departments, I would acknowledge that we have to, of course, build in our policy framework more measures as it relates to environmental sustainability and utilizing renewables in a deeper and a larger way.
As part of the 260th anniversary celebrations, the Botanical Gardens will be hosting a series of educational and environmental awareness activities aimed at encouraging community involvement in conservation. And 38 forestry officers from the Forestry Services benefited from a dendrology training conducted by Spazio.VC under the Global Environment Facility of the United Nations Development Program, Ridge to Reef project from March 21st to April 4th. This first phase of the training exercise consisted of an introductory course at the Forestry Services Conference Room, facilitated by environmental consultant Amos Glasgow. This theoretical component of the training opened with welcoming remarks by Spazio.VC's Director Cornelius Richards, Senior Forestry Supervisor Cosmos McLeod, and UNDP's Project Coordinator McKinney Borrow. To mark the second phase of the training, which took place on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, Glasgow led the participants on a practical field tour of the Vermont Nature Trail. Participants received further instructions in scientific classification systems and various methods of identifying trees by their fruits, leaves, bark, etc.
Along the Vermont Nature Trail, and we look at the different species of trees, looking at their leaves, and at the officers describe the leaves like we talked about in the office, so that they were able to tell you the shape of the leaves, what the margin is looking like, the type of leaf, describing the edges, the apex, and all the different parts of the leaves. We also look at barks, some of the bark of the trees, because there were no flowers or fruits, because flowers and fruits are the most important part in identifying trees, because they are always different. So we have to take an in-depth study of the leaves to make sure that we have the correct leaf for the correct species. This exercise is a very important part of foresters training, because it's the resource that they have to manage, and they need to know what type of vegetation, especially trees, what they are used for, what the trees are good for, how to identify them, and their location. And so today we had a number of them, over 16 or so, on the trail, doing exactly what we set out to do.
The project's primary goal is to preserve Caribbean ecosystems and sustain livelihoods by improving water resource management, land management, and forest management practices. We hear that several cultural groups paraded the streets of capital Kingstown as part of the pre-launch for Vincy Mas 2025. The parade, which was held under the theme A Call to Memory, is a new addition to the Vincy Mas activities under the leadership of newly installed Chief Executive Officer Rodney Small. Small tells SVG-TV News that he is satisfied with the participation of the groups at the pre-launch event today.
The cultural parade was really meant to create some level of empowerment for our people and ensuring that we need to preserve these cultural icons and these cultural practices that we have, so that we as Vincentians can continue to feel good, to be Vincentian, to be Vincy, to be from Vincy. And this is just a launch pad to what is going to happen going forward for Carnival. Of course, we have to try to see how we can create a marriage between tradition and modernization. So it was just really to evoke a lot of emotion and a lot of pride for Vincentian public.
The Rose Hall Drummers were one of the groups participating. Its leader, Selwyn Patterson, said that it is a great national initiative.
I am the leader of the Rosal Cultural and Development Organization / Rosal Jobbers. It's always our pleasure to be participating in national events, and today we are participating in the pre-launch of the Carnival launch, and we are participating with Rose Bank as we march around Kingston from Peace Memorial Hall to Heritage Square. A long one, but we enjoy it, and this is what we want to do to help to develop the product of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is something that we are happy to do for St. Vincent.
Meanwhile, Small said all is set for the grand launch of Vincy Mas 2025 tomorrow at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport.
This same traditional element, you can expect a lot of technology, a lot of high energy. It's a family atmosphere, a lot of wonderful set designs, and wonderful performances. The concept for tomorrow is about global excellence and all our contribution, not just here in St. Vincent, but throughout the world. I want persons to come early. The pre-show is at 6 p.m. and then we're going to move into the main stage from 8 p.m. and then we're going to have a nice atmosphere. You're going to see AI presentation, you're going to see mass presentation, you're going to see fun, you're going to see calypso, you're going to see some of favorite artists, and of course a big fireworks presentation.
And in other local news now, we hear that the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment has issued an urgent appeal to all pregnant women across St. Vincent and the Grenadines to fully utilize the maternal health services available throughout the country. In a statement released today in recognition of Mother's Day, which will be observed on Sunday, May 11, 2025, the ministry extended heartfelt appreciation to all mothers and expectant mothers, describing their dedication and resilience as the foundation of the nation's health and well-being. The ministry emphasized the importance of regular and timely maternal care, urging expectant mothers to adhere to all recommended screenings and to attend scheduled antenatal and postnatal checkups as guided by their healthcare providers. The statement reads, consistent antenatal and postnatal care is vital to safeguarding the health and well-being of both mother and baby. The ministry also advised pregnant women to begin conversations with their healthcare providers early in their pregnancy and to maintain ongoing communication to monitor and manage any potential risk. The ministry noted that the earlier these discussions begin, the better the chances of preventing complications and ensuring a safe pregnancy and delivery. In its ongoing commitment to maternal and child health, the ministry reassured the public of its continued investment in the healthcare system. Key initiatives include ongoing training for healthcare providers to enhance quality of care, procurement of new and upgraded medical equipment funded by both donor agencies and the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 3. Improve infection control measures at healthcare facilities nationwide. The ministry reaffirmed its commitment to supporting and empowering mothers through accessible, high-quality healthcare services and educational resources. And the Women's Committee of the Public Service Union, the PSU, today hosted its annual Mother's Day Appreciation celebration under the gallery of the SVG Postal Corporation. The event featured a range of activities, including free blood pressure checks, a photo booth, fun games, and a membership drive, aimed at encouraging greater participation in the committee's initiatives. Anastasia Caesar, a representative of the PSU Women's Committee, said the celebration is part of the group's ongoing effort to give back to the community and to honor the vital role of mothers.
We're just trying to appreciate our mothers, our members, as well as other mothers generally. So from the mothers to our members, we have a little token for you. You come down and these are the tokens. Or so you will pick, and whichever item that you pick, you will get that item. We are also trying to have a membership drive to see if we can get new members on board, so that we can represent them. Because we all need representation at some point. Sometimes we think we don't need it, but then at least it comes up. Similarly to the one that we got for the Ministry of Education with the more issue, and we are there to assist you. So encouraging persons to come on board and join the public service union. Of course, you have to be working with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you come, you apply. At this point, it's $20 per month for subscription. But hopefully, maybe in the future, we will need to increase. But at this time, that is what it is.
Caesar added that while Mother's Day is a special occasion, the contributions of mothers and women should be acknowledged every day.
We just want mothers to know that we care about them, we love them, we do some form of appreciation every year. We're just trying something different this year, and we just want them to know that the job is hard, but keep at it, keep loving the children, keep loving you, because you have to love you first in order to give to others.
The PSU Women's Committee continues to champion the welfare and recognition of women in the public service and across the wider Vincentian community.